We're just a few short days away from Christmas. This season, Christmas tree farm owners say they're getting more and more customers looking for the real thing. Our Jolene DeRosier set out to find out if this is true and share tips on how to keep a real tree healthy for the holidays. Jolene?
Oh, there's nothing like a real Christmas tree. And for those of you that haven't experienced the cutting of it, the adventure of it, there's so much here to enjoy. I am at SIMMONS FARM in Copenhagen, New York. There's lots of farms throughout the North Country. And if you've never cut a tree down before, even if you have, here are some really great tips to ensure that your tree lasts longer.
Oh, here we go.
As the saying goes, there's nothing like the real thing. At SIMMONS FARM in Copenhagen, acres of fir trees yield rows to walk, saw, and sled through. Those in the field shaking and investigating are looking for the ideal tree. For these families, artificial trees aren't the answer.
Artificial trees are made in China. They're made from an oil product. If they end up in the landfill after so many years, they don't decompose for years and years and years. They will contain dust mites when they're put up in your attic.
The DeZormo family knows this. They also know how much tradition means to the family. And for a few decades now, they've made this acreage a yearly pilgrimage.
When I was a kid with my brother and my parents and my cousin and her parents, we're a very close family, and we'd go every year to cut down our Christmas tree, and we'd march through the snow and the cold weather and pick out our tree, and we wanted to carry on the tradition. We've got now, my cousin's all grown up too, and we've got all of our own kids, and you know, it's one of those yearly traditions that we want to keep going as the family goes on.
So what are you doing right now? Are you like trying to see if the needles fall off?
Well, if the branches will fall down so there's no bare spots in the tree, and then if we see if it's full. But it's acceptable to have one side that doesn't look as good, because then her and I can put it in the corner at the house.
So right now at our house we have 26-foot ceilings, so we always like to try to get an 11 or 12-foot tree, and it's a tradition between my mom and I, and we always just find the biggest tree and how many lights we can get on it. And we also have a ton of family ornaments that my brother and I, since we were little, have been able to put on the tree, and the bigger the tree the better at this point. So
with tradition comes responsibility. Real Christmas trees need extra special care. And if that care is put in place, the tree will last longer.
The first thing I would say is to know where your tree comes from. If you're going to buy a tree, a live tree from a big box store, it's probably been cut months ago. Number two is to keep it watered. If you buy a tree off a lot, make sure that there's not a ton of green needles laying on the ground underneath your tree. There will be brown needles because a lot of trees, they'll have a natural dieback. If you're not going to put it right up, keep it where it's cool, out of the wind, out of direct sunlight, put it in some water. And if you're going to wait a few days to put it in, give it a nice fresh little cut on the bottom.
Avoid putting your tree up near a heat source too, like radiators or near the fireplace. Following these simple rules will make all of the sawing, dragging, and baling worth it.
Tradition's one of those things that gets passed down, and I would hope that when my kids grow up that they realize that it's the pastime of doing it with your family, spending time with your family. You're out of the house, you're away from your screens, you're freezing your tail off, and of course warming up at a restaurant with some good food afterwards is definitely the bonus.
every morning when I wake up, it's always this fresh, crisp, just a Christmas spirit and a Christmas smell throughout the whole entire house, and just the smell of fresh pine too. It's just a great tradition to come home to or wake up to in the morning.
In snowy Copenhagen for WPBS Weekly, I'm Jolene DeRosier.